show.
Yo, what up, man?
Yeah.
So,
Uh, I
how's Typhoon Nanmadol? What's going on?
have no idea. I mean, it's going to hit us just around now because I think that's the peak here around 9 p.m. So I might, I don't know. I might
Is
like.
it
Well, I can
is it
hear my shutters like sounding because the
is it
wind
that
is just
bad?
like so strong. Well, it's not that bad, but it's typical typhoon. But since we're coming from, or we are from, the south in the Philippines, we don't get that much typhoons, right? So we don't
That's
know
true.
what
That's true.
really,
We're not
what
used to it.
really it is. We're not used to it. So basically, it's just like, I mean, we're not the center of it. If you go to where the center of it is, it's terrible there. Like people died, and like a lot of damages. Hey, Rye, you know what a typhoon is? No, you don't want to know.
Yeah,
Right?
he's a typhoon. He's a walking, talking typhoon.
Yeah,
Um, well, have you
like
experienced
multiply it
a
by a
typhoon there
thousand
at
times.
all?
Yeah, that's
I
it.
mean,
What?
since you're 14, 15 years
Yeah,
stay there,
yeah,
have you
yeah.
ever?
Like I've experienced a lot of typhoons, and it's pretty normal. So it's like the heavy rains, then like the strong winds. And now that I live in a house, I have to be more careful. So
Yeah.
yesterday I started like shutting the shutters, so that the windows won't break or something, right? So you have got to have shutters. So I closed all the shutters, and but still, so when the wind blows, it hits the shutter and it's like. So it has that sound like that. So
Got
I
it.
would hear it occasionally, and then there's that
So
like
you
the
don't lose power
rain,
or anything?
storm. No, not we're not the center of it. Like I know where like the eye of the storm is. Like they do have problems like losing water or not having electricity for like a day or two. So no, we don't have that here because this is not the center of it. But I think it's in Miyazaki. So I think they have. I mean, I already saw pictures, and my mother-in-law is panicking, and I hate that when people do that. I mean, you just can't like panic because I mean, if you have all the information you need, you don't have to panic. And I think they know about it. They just like to panic. My mother-in-law called my wife and started like, are you guys okay?" My mom's like, "Yeah, yeah, we're fine. Like, what's going on?" They're already panicking where they live. You can hear screams from like, "Oh, whatever." Like, yeah, I really don't get it. I'm like, why are you? We are not the center of the freaking typhoon. I mean, yeah, we're gonna have those strong winds and rains and shit like that, but I don't think It's gonna be as bad as how it is in Miyazaki. But but you never know. So that's the thing. But it's not, as far as I know, it's not that bad. But it's just a typical typhoon. But then
That's good, man.
I told my
Not
wife
good,
that,
good, but good. Good for you guys.
yeah, I know. I mean, it's like people who probably came from Manila wouldn't make this a big deal. Because when I was in Manila, the first time I saw a typhoon, I was like, holy fuck, this is what a typhoon is? Because I grew up in Davao. We don't have that. We have strong
No,
rains,
we don't have
but
typhoons
but
here.
we never have the typhoon. So when I was there in Manila and we were at the hospital and the typhoon hit, and we were facing the window, right? So the doctor's facing us. So the doctor's like right by the window, but facing us.
You can see
So while
outside.
my yeah, yeah, so he couldn't see outside, but we could. And my senior reps were talking to him, and I was just observing. But I was looking outside the window, and I saw the coconut tree like doing this. I've never seen a coconut tree sway like this in my entire life
Do you have
in
coconut
Davao
trees in
City.
Manila?
Yeah, this was like a coconut tree behind a doctor doing this, like really bending, and it was like, holy fuck, that happens. I've never seen that, so that scared the shit out of me, right, the first time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then people were like, they didn't panic or anything, so I was like, oh my god, it's typhoon. They're like, oh yeah, I think they're gonna cancel classes. That's the reaction I got. I think they're gonna cancel classes. Like, what? I'm like, I want to go home and hide under my bed. So then I realized that, all right, because we don't get that typhoon in like where we live. So if you're from Davao, like for example, my mother-in-law, she's already panicking now. I mean, but for people who experience it all the time, like people from Visayas and like Luzon, they're used to it. It's like, yeah, it's nothing, right?
That's true.
So
That's
it
true.
doesn't scare them.
We're used to earthquakes. That's what we're used to.
I know, right? But it's not even that. Like, it's not. Oh yeah, like now it's that bad.
Yeah, yeah,
Growing
yeah.
up, it
Really
wasn't
bad.
that bad, but now
It
I mean,
wasn't.
I heard
It wasn't.
there was like there was that
We'll have it
scare.
once in a while, but
Was it like
not that
last year or
bad.
2 years
Now
ago?
it's It's really terrible. It's like I've always had a phobia of earthquakes, so I'm like shit. It's not a good time to get a condo unit. You know what I'm saying? Like especially here. I mean, I'm not discouraging people from doing that. I'm just saying like if you were staying like in a 10th whatever floor of a condominium unit or an apartment or a hotel, not apartment but like a hotel or whatever, and earthquake like that strikes, it's different, man. I mean, if you feel it in your home and you're on the ground floor, you imagine being. I mean, you get that a lot of that in Japan too, like Kobe, I think, or wherever, right? Japan gets a lot of that earthquake stuff too. Taiwan just had Taiwan just had one recently, and I know a certain province in China had one recently. So it's
Yeah,
sort
because
of
I think
going
we're in the
around. It's making
Pacific.
the
It's
rounds.
like that's where the fault line is. So Japan
Yeah.
has that as well. Not where I live, but where my wife used to live. She said they don't get much typhoons there, but lots of earthquakes, like those bits and pieces of earthquakes, like those small ones. They have that, and 'cause she lived in Fukushima, where the nuclear reactor thing happened.
Oh,
Like she used
jeez.
to live there,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they usually get that. So that's why that happened there when they had a really like strong earthquake somewhere in that region. So something happened with the nuclear reactor, but they don't get much typhoons there. We do over here
But you're
because we're
cool
like
with
in
stuff
the
like that. Like you're not, you don't panic. You don't. I mean, you don't like people who panic when it comes to stuff like that. So when something like that happens, what's your usual initial reaction? You're just like,
no nothing. I'm
run.
like, well, what can you do? Like that's the thing. Like what I said, right? I'm not scared about these things, but instead of like what I told you, like when my anxiety like got triggered, I was like more scared of like what I might do. But it's
Then what
like
might happen?
then what might happen? I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like if it's a big earthquake, like, I mean, what can I do about it? It's coming, right? I
Yeah.
mean, if it's a typhoon, it's a typhoon. What can you do about it? Like all I can do is like, all right, shut the shutters. I'll try to figure out if I mean, my wife's like, what about the chairs? Are they gonna fly? I'm like, if there's a small tile like this. If it doesn't move, what makes you think that the chairs will fly? Because there were
Yeah,
like
yeah,
small tiles outside my outside my house where it was like sort of a sample and it was just like
yeah,
laying on the ground. I told my wife, if those tiles don't fly, what makes you think that the chairs will fly?
yeah,
So I don't
yeah.
think that's like where's the logic in it. So I'm like, no, I've seen my neighbors tied chairs before. Like I think from 3 years ago when there was like, oh, we might have the strongest whatever typhoon. So I saw them tying stuff. I didn't see that today. I started shutting the I sh- like I started putting down the shutters yesterday. My neighbors didn't do it until this morning. So I was like, they're not panicking. So I'm thinking like, well, it's not that bad, right? Because back then, day before, they were like all ready. They were like tying things. They were, like some of the tree branches were tied to. They're trying to, like put some support and try to like so that it won't like really sway or I don't know like when it breaks then it just breaks whatever. So they were like tying things, but nothing like that. But if like now I can hear the whistle. I mean we don't get that there. Like you can hear the wind like
Yeah.
boom, 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 right? So if you're from Davao, you don't get that a lot. So you'd be
No.
like, what the fuck was that, right? So
Yeah.
so I hear that now.
We,
I
we
can
get
hear it.
flooding here. I mean, we get flooded roads and stuff. I
We don't have
mean,
that, yeah, right?
but not a lot
So
of the wind. You don't get a lot
I
of the
know.
wind.
So
Which is what
so that
well, like what's it? What makes it a typhoon, right? That the wind, the
yeah,
powerful
yeah. I think
winds. That's what
yeah,
kind of makes it a
how
typhoon.
hard it blows,
It's not just the
stuff like
hard
that.
rain. It's the strong winds and everything.
I think there
I
was
mean,
that time when
yeah,
like some stuff in Osaka fell down, and you can see like cars actually like flying.
flying.
Like not really fly, but
Well, there
like
was this thing that happened
they,
recently in
they
Korea,
flew
right?
off the ground a
Where
little bit.
you know Jolin, right? I think you know Jolin. She was at SM before, and
I'm not sure,
I
but
think
I
you
heard
probably,
like the one that
yeah.
was
This is
expected to come here in Japan. Like I think that was like last week or 2 weeks ago. I think it went to Korea, so we were
yeah.
expecting a typhoon
Korea
here, and
went
all of a
some
sudden like, oh no, it's not. Like we're safe. Like it went to
Korea
Korea,
got
so
some
I'm like, all
crazy
right.
shit. So
It
literally
was
like
that
flooding in
right.
Gangnam, like in the center of Korea,
All
which
right,
is like
okay. So
unheard of.
that's what it is. If you're at the center of it,
Yeah, it messed
so
them up, and it's like unheard of. And I don't really know, man. I don't know what's going on with the world. It could be the ice cap. This ice caps are melting.
it has been probably been going on for some time now,
It's been
but
for
it's just that
sure.
we didn't have the information because we didn't have like social media back then. But now there are more pictures. There, like you can get information, like easily, and
Yeah, yeah.
like on real time actually.
and certain
back
stuff
then,
happening in certain places that doesn't normally happen. I mean, like that's what's crazy about it. It's like stuff happening in certain places that normally wouldn't. Jago, no, Jago, wouldn't be happening there. Give it to
like
me.
I go to one school and I saw these pictures in one of my schools, and they were like, like cars in the school or something. It was like from a great flood. And I was like, when was this? This was like back in the, was it in the 80s, mid 80s? So I was like, what, 6 or 7? So it happened here where I live around the area, and was just like so bad. That flood was so bad that like cars were like like floating around, and it was just like a huge deal because
A lot of people
like
died.
yeah, probably, but the damage was just like it was just so big, right? So I was like, all right, so that thing happened here. But I mean, it's one of those things that happens. Like it's not like it happens every time. You remember that moment when I remember there was this extreme shit that happened in the Vow where there was like so much flooding somewhere south, and I remember my friend's like flip mode shop, the old location got flooded out, and we were so happy that we decided to get the car that we because he was repairing a car, the Picanto at that time. So my father in law took it just like 2 days before that thing happened. Then when it happened, like he said, like all of the cars in his shop were like you know soaked, so it
Yeah.
was really terrible. So it was like, all right, so I saw the news as well, and that was bad. So I think stuff like that happened from time to
Once
time.
in a while, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like a what?
So
Like once every
it's
10
not that
years, once every 20 years. I mean, like it's like a freak event or something. Obviously, you panic when it happens. I mean, I'm not encouraging people to panic, but if it happens like once every 10, 20 years, so obviously most people probably haven't experienced it yet, and it'll be their first time. But there are some people who've experienced it before. So when it happens again, they kind of know how to react, kind of know how far it's gonna, the how extreme it's gonna get. Because I mean, there was one time I sort of panicked here in the house. There was one time when, because a lot of the neighbors here would be having issues about like their underground restroom flooding when rains get crazy, and it never happened to us. And there was one time when it did. I was like, I looked down and our bathroom or was his toilet and shower and bath down here, it got flooded. So I was like, holy crap. Like literally the water was rising, and I did not want it to get to the level of the living room because you have appliances here and the electronic outlets. It's gonna cost the ground and all that shit. And thank God it didn't. But I was like, I don't know how to react to that. I mean, I'm used to like the Bakaka house getting all flooded, like the garage level, but never enter the house. I mean, our house was elevated enough for it to never, you know, have problems with flooding. It's just like up to the garage. So if you get out of your car, your feet's gonna get wet heading to inside the house. But here, it's like I never thought we would encounter something like that because some of the neighbors did. So some of the neighbors were like, complaining about how their underground, it's semi underground toilet and bath were constructed. So when it happened to us, I was like, holy shit! So I actually had to like, I had to wake up Raj. Raj had to help me, you know, get a pail and clean up stuff. So that's because you read about it in the news a lot, and I have a lot of friends who were affected. Ooh, is it going crazy now? Is it start is it starting to go nuts?
Well, yeah, well, occasionally, like, right, I would hear it, like, like, but
Oh,
it's fine.
sheesh. But can you see it from outside the window where you're at?
Well, if you look, yeah, like now it's dark, so but you can feel it. So if you can hear it, it's like that. Like this afternoon, I was like looking at the trees. I was showing snow, and yeah, I mean it's typhoon,
So what
so
time was it supposed to hit? Like landfall,
now,
like
like
right?
nine is like around. It should be now, so that's why it's like getting stronger. So I'm like, all right. So that's why they were panicking like an hour earlier when like my mother-in-law was like talking to my wife. and they were panicking at their place. So I'm like, all right, I don't get it. I was like
That's
already I really close to shutters, so we should be fine. That's what I told her. And then she was
check
talking about the
it.
chairs again. So I was like, no, the chairs are fine.
Okay.
Leave it.
Yeah, Japan's like pretty much ready for stuff like that, though, right? You guys are,
I mean, the Typhoon in Karate Kid was probably worse.
that was really bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, Karate Kid
Chosen
Part Two.
lost his honor.
Yeah, I know. But
Oh
now
no
I'm
no
like,
no 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 no! Have you seen Cobra Kai? Have you seen the whole season?
I'm supposed to be. I think
Because
I'm
I
I'm
love
on
this
episode
season,
four.
dude. It
I
started slow. It started slow. I mean, but Raj started watching it before I did, so I kind of really got
I
into
know.
it.
Like
Like
last night, I
after,
think I should
good,
be on the on
it's
episode
good,
5, but
it's good, it's good.
um,
It gets
yeah,
better.
my
It gets
wife's been
better.
like delaying it. Like
I like it.
shit.
I like it. And if you're familiar with all the Karate Kid movies, like 2, 3, all that, then you'll see some familiar faces there. I mean, I
I
don't
know.
want
Like I
to
already saw
spoil for
Mike
you.
Barnes.
Yes, Barnes was there. What about
I
the next Karate Kid, the lady?
like what was her name? Like the $1 Million Baby.
No, not her. The
East Coast.
Was
what's
there
her
a
name?
next Karate Kid?
The other one?
The red hair.
Yeah, the red-haired one.
I forgot.
It was a girl, right?
Yes.
Try not
Wasn't
make
it
up
Hilary
like
Swank?
click bait.
Now there's also a girl, the red-haired one, who
East Coast.
also was in one of the Karate Kid movies.
The next Karate Kid?
She was also in one of the red-haired one.
It wasn't Hilary Swank? Oh no, it's Hilary Swank. I was right. I'm right.
No, no, no.
It's
It's
Hilary.
not. It's not. It's not. She wasn't like the Karate Kid, but she was in one of the Karate Kid movies.
All right, so
She
it's
made.
not Hilary
She was like
Swank.
the friend of What's her name? She was the friend of
Amanda.
the Amanda in the. But anyway, you'll see her. You'll be like, hey, I know her. You'll see her. But like I said, that's what's cool about. That's what's
So
cool
Karate
about.
Kid, because I think Karate Kid 4 was like sort of the next Karate Kid. Was like I think Pat Morita was still in it. Ralph
Yes.
Macchio wasn't, but it was like
Yes,
Hilary
wasn't. It
Swank
was
was in
Hilary
it.
Swank. Yeah, it was the girl. Like she was the next Karate Kid.
But it's not Hilary Swank who is in Cobra Kai right
No,
now.
it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not Hilary Swank. But you know what? I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, it gets better. If you're in episode 5, it gets better. And there's just there's just an episode there where you're like, oh man, you're like, no way, he's not gonna die, is he? Like, don't kill him off. But I mean, I liked it. I liked it. It's still like it's still kind of like a little cheesy Karate Kid style, but
Yeah,
I
I
like
mean,
this one
yes,
because
that's
this
what
one
I'm
was
saying.
for the
Like,
adults.
like okay, here's the thing. This is Karate Kid we're talking about, right? I mean,
Cobra
back in the
Kai,
day
yeah.
when we didn't know better, we thought that all these martial arts bullshit were like, all right, so all these kung fu movies and stuff like that, right? Like we're like, oh my god, right? But then now that the MMA is around, you'd be like, oh god, all right. So it's like all those kata and shit. I mean,
It's
if it's
not
in a real
bullshit.
fight,
It's not.
it's
Yeah,
like
you'll get your
like
butt kicked.
you know how a real fight is, right? Like so when
Yeah.
you talk about these guys who are doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like these guys are the
Yeah.
real
Or
deal,
wrestling. Yeah.
right? So
Wrestling,
these are the real deal
kickboxing.
because this is how like fight goes down. It's not like
Yeah.
like oh, like I don't know, like if I mean I'm not Bruce Lee or anything. Maybe if you're Bruce Lee,
Ready?
you can do that. But even Bruce Lee was like he was like like he was considered as one of the um like not an actual founder, but he talked about MMA back in the day when
Yeah.
like you can use anything. You can
Yeah.
bite, you can kick, you can that's the concept or the what do you call that? Like the heart of Jet Kundo, right?
Yeah.
So, but whatever. But then we used to watch like Once Upon a Time in China, Karate Kid, all these kung fu movies, and Shaolin, and they always have this like, all right, I have the cat's claw, or I have the snake, whatever, right? And the
Yeah.
tiger's claw and shit like
The
that.
dragon, whatever.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's
And
all
then
entertaining. So here, Karate Kid is like it's bullshit. Like it's not like karate, like it doesn't
yeah,
really go down that
and
way.
they don't. What I like about the series is it doesn't take itself seriously. Like it knows
doesn't,
it pokes fun
right?
at itself. Even the '80s culture, the music,
I
even the
know.
actors themselves, it pokes fun at itself. It's not meant to be taken like
So even if
seriously.
it's that, it's really entertaining. I'm like, I know
It
it's bullshit,
is.
but I love watching
It's
it.
super
I
entertaining. I
mean,
love it for
Johnny,
people my age,
yeah,
and
Johnny
for
once
Raj.
went to Mexico and just like
I
kicked a bunch
know
of like foreigner ass
exactly.
there.
Yeah, 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 no, no,
That Australian guy, and like he
and
was just,
and
he's just like funny.
and my son, he loves it, and I'm like, well, that's cool because we have something that we both like. I mean, I like it for the fact that it plays a lot of the 80s songs. I like it for the fact that it stars those that I'm very familiar with, like Ralph Macchio, William Zabka, and the guy who plays Kreese and all those guys. And Silver's back. And my son's like, I don't know if it's a new experience for him, but he does have a little familiarity with the original Karate Kid because I've shown it to him before. But he likes it because it also has those high school kids, and I like that. I like that the first season they tackled basically just how everything started out and how Cobra Kai came to life again, and then the second season it was about the high school kids and having that fight and Miguel falling and all that stuff, and then now this third season is about the adults. This is about the grown-ups. So this is the storyline is really mainly about them now, especially when you get to the later episodes of the season, and I really like it. And I think I don't know if everybody who watches Cobra Kai will like it or will fall for the charm or will finish the whole thing in one sitting. But definitely for us, people from our generation, it works. My wife loves it, and that's what I was surprised about because we all like it here in the house. My wife's 10 years younger. My kids, very obviously a different generation, and we all liked it. Like they would watch it more than I would. And so there's something about that formula that worked. Now, my only question is, how many people are actually, like, let's say here in the Philippines, how many people are actually interested in it? I don't think CJ has seen it. I don't think, I don't know, Patrick watches it. I don't know. I'm sure Joe Boy probably when he has time because he's a karate kid himself. But I'm just wondering how many are actually feeling the same kind of, feel good fuzz that we feel when we watch it, if it holds that appeal. Or if people see it on Netflix, will they actually click it and watch it? Because I first started watching that on YouTube. I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes because it was free, and then they offered it on YouTube Red or YouTube Premium, and that's the only way you could watch the rest of the Cobra Kai season. I'm like, bummed. I was bummed. I'm like, I'm not gonna subscribe to YouTube Red or YouTube Premium, to watch the rest of this. But I love the first 2 or 3 episodes that they gave out on YouTube for free, and then boom, Netflix got it. So that was when a lot of the wider audience actually got to see it, and I would have just passed it off as
Well,
as a show that. But I'm glad that you like it. I don't know if Chuck likes it. I don't know if the guys we worked with who are around the same age as us like it, but I recommend it.
like from the get go of Cobra Kai, I like right before it was released, I already heard of it. So
Yeah, yeah.
I started
I
watching
mean,
it back
yeah.
when it was still like premium YouTube. But then I would like get it
You
somewhere.
have YouTube Premium?
No, I didn't, but I could get
Oh.
it somewhere. So I was
Oh, okay,
like,
got it.
so I
I
so
couldn't get it somewhere, so I was like bummed. I
so
saw the first 2 3 episodes. I'm like, oh crap, that's it.
so I
And
finished the whole
yeah.
season on its first year. So it was like, fuck, I have to
Oh
wait
man,
a
I
whole
only got
year.
I only got to finish the season when Netflix got it. So I
Oh,
was like,
really?
yeah, I had to wait.
No,
I
like
only saw the
every year I
first two or
was
three
like,
episodes. Yeah,
I
see
would
YouTube
really hate
Red.
it because
And
I
I
had
knew Joe
YouTube Red,
Boy.
yeah.
I knew he was gonna get Joe Boy's attention, man. 'Cause he's a karate guy. I mean, more
Yeah.
of a I think more of a jujitsu guy, right? Joe Boy, you do jujitsu, right? The jujitsu that you do? I know you do several disciplines. I'm not sure which ones exactly, but I'm telling you, man. It's one of those shows, one of those because there are a lot of don't get me wrong, there are a lot of great series on Netflix and whatever else you follow, but there's very few that is just borderline campy and it's not too heavy. Like you can watch it and there'll be some certain scenes that might be a little bit stressful already, but it's just like for me, it's not too stressful. Karate. Okay, so Joe Boy exactly is the karate guy. Kyokushin something something, right? Shotokan whatnot. And so it's just like that's what I like about Karate Kid. It doesn't stress you out too much. You watch shows like The Walking Dead, you watch Game of Thrones, you watch stuff like that. Yeah, they're great. They're heavy on the drama. They're great on the effects, but it brings you down sometimes. And sometimes the stuff you watch has an effect on your mental state, your mood. And Cobra Kai always kind of has a way of bringing you back to how take it lightly. Don't it's no big deal. Even the latter episodes, which
If
I
you
still
watch
get
like those
to.
heavy type dramas, then just like sometimes I would cap my day or my night with like Brooklyn 99 or something like that.
Yeah,
If I
that's
want to be
very
like
light.
all stressed out, like Then I start watching all these things, like the comedy stuff, like B Brooklyn 99, Fresh Off the Boat, Kim's Convenience. I mean, they're like
Inconvenience.
really
Yeah.
light, they're really funny, and I'm
You're
like,
right.
all
You're
right.
right. That's true. You
Now,
can actually watch the heavy ones and then just cap off your night with those light ones, right?
right? And now I'm watching Matrix 4. I'm like, holy shit, this is like this. Back in the day, I'm like, I didn't make a big deal out of it, but when I had that like anxiety issue, like what 2 years ago, it's just oh my god, it's I mean the movies that you should avoid when you're going through something, or like Inception or The Matrix. It was like, really? Like I watched The Matrix back then, it didn't really have that effect. I was just like, well, it's a movie, it's a freaking movie, right? But now it's like, I don't know. It's because it's like reality and not the real. You know what I'm saying? Because that's
Yeah.
what Matrix is. Oh, this is not reality. It's like a different. But it was like, all right, it's a movie. It's a freaking movie, right?
Like we live in a
So
program.
right, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it could be like because it's a different generation and we're just so isolated. We're connected, but at the same time, we're so isolated from each other. So maybe that's what it is. Back
Well,
then, we watched.
you appreciate it more now, or you appreciate it less?
No, not really. It's like things can get to you more now than
Okay.
back then, right? Like you watch something after you leave the cinema, that's the end of it. Like you don't think about it after. Well,
Yeah,
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 you
yeah.
kind of like you poke fun at it, like with what you watch or whatever. You talk about it for a little bit, but it
But it's
doesn't
not a big
linger,
deal. Yeah.
right? Because most of the time you watch these things, you watch it with someone. You watch it with your friends, you watch it with your barcada, you watch it with your girlfriend. Then after that, it's gone. Then you're on to the next like chapter of your life, or the next activity that you're like that you're faced with, like eating outside or whatever. But now you're stuck in your living room watching these things. Sometimes it ruminates. It gets stuck. That's the problem now, and
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
nobody to talk to. Back
Yeah.
then, after you watch the movie, you come out and you're more concerned about, did somebody take my wallet, or am I going to lose my wallet on the way out of the cinema? I mean, oh my God, bahog ilok akong katapad, and all these things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more of a reality for you. Then you go to wherever you're going to eat, then it's a long line. It's so you're
Yeah.
like more preoccupied. But now you're in your living room, you're watching it, then you turn it off, and you're like, is this really reality? Like you're like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
at
I
that
get what you
moment,
mean.
I'm like, holy shit,
I get what
right?
you
But
mean.
back then, you don't have that because you
And
don't
I
have
think
those idle moments.
I think it has a lot to do with the fact too that a lot of the movies and a lot of the production that's coming out now, they're better. The production aspects better, the writing's better. It's delves deeper into people's thoughts. It certain touches on certain things that we are into or we are not into, and I don't know because I mean back in the day, if you watch the movies from like the '90s and stuff, they all had that same formula crap. I mean, there was a time when Armageddon, Deep Impact, 2020, whatever, all those movies came out. And they all were revolved around the same topic, which was like end of the world or like a catastrophe or like an asteroid hitting the Earth, and they all kind of had their own approach of taking it in, like even Independence Day, like the aliens and all that stuff. So when you watch that, it's like, yeah, you're taken to a different world where it's like movie world, and it's highly unlikely it's gonna happen in the real world. And now, when you watch a lot of the movies, it's like, even like spy movies, like Salt, even certain, it's like, yeah, those people could actually really exist. It could really happen. I mean, even Inception, like it's one of my favorite movies, and I watch Inception, and I'm like, it's actually, I don't know why, but like when you watch The Matrix, whatever, it's more of like that's actually more feasible. It's actually more. It could,
It is. That's why it
right?
fucks
It
with
could
you.
possibly
And
happen,
that's why it
right?
says, like, if you're going through something, if you're going through some mental issues, do not watch it, because it really is like, oh my god, it will really fuck
Right?
with your mind. Because
Considering
it's
how
like,
the
oh, it's
world is
Inception.
now.
So like it was like inserted in your head, and now
Yeah, like
yeah.
Inception, like these people who can come in and like mess with your dreams or thoughts. It could actually be a possibility. Like you have characters like Elon Musk now. You have characters like Mark Zuckerberg and these guys who have the power and the money and can control social media and all that shit. So we don't know, right? Because I mean, we don't know that people are afraid to be injected by the anti whatever the COVID anti-COVID virus because they're afraid that it might like have an effect on you, that it might be something that they might be injecting whatever micro whatever stuff on you and have control of you. I mean, there are people who are afraid of that. There are people who don't want to be vaccinated because they're planning because of maybe because of the effect of movies that they watch. Where you'll be under the control of the government or something if you get injected with certain things or if you let people invade your body a certain way. And now you know how you might be a zombie. You might turn into a zombie, and people even think about that stuff. Like back in the day, when you watch a zombie movie, that's like a zombie movie. We're like, yeah, it's a zombie movie. Whoa, scary, but that's it. You never actually really like our our sort of understanding of zombies was like just brain dead people like go like this and eat brains, right? Like they literally rise from the grave, like in Michael Jackson's Thriller, and want to eat people's brains. Now our perception of a zombie is like they're not even dead. They're like literally like people who are just like they mutate into something, and all of a sudden, they're different. I mean, I don't know if you heard about the story of the people who were ingesting bath salts. I remember reading a story about that. Like people who were ingesting bath salts, and it turns them into these crazed people, and it's almost like somebody who's really high on drugs and they're messed up, but they're almost they possess like zombie like characteristics. They're aggressive, they eat people and all that shit. And that was in the news. That was in the real news. This was not like a work of fiction. This was not in a movie. And I'm like, holy shit. So there are actually people out there who are serious about preparing for a zombie apocalypse. And back in the day, we laugh at that shit. So I think you're right. I think we've come to this age where, yeah, when you watch a movie, it does mess with you. It does
does
mess.
because
It does.
they put like okay back in the day zombie movies is yeah you're right they just rise from the
Right?
grave
It's like,
right now they have more specific storylines
yes,
like oh because of a
an
vaccine
experiment. Yes, I gone wrong. Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
now it messes with people's heads like all right, okay there's a vaccine for COVID they're like no we're gonna turn to zombies. Have you
Yes.
seen the zombies yet? Not yet. It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years. Right? Or it's been a year plus. I haven't seen zombies yet. So
Well, they haven't.
fuck
They
that.
haven't. They
Right?
haven't turned on the whatever yet. I mean, have you
I know,
seen
right? People's minds.
Liev
Like
Schreiber?
nobody
Was it the
wants to take it because
Was it the Manchurian Candidate? Was that Liev Schreiber, the Manchurian Candidate?
yeah,
Where
retriever.
you're
Like
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
Manchurian candidate.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
he was
Like
activated.
there's a trigger, right? There's a
Yeah,
trigger. You
yeah.
you get
You gotta
that
be activated.
same thing with
But
Homeland, right?
right.
Have you seen that
Yes, yeah.
series, Homeland?
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing,
Totally.
right? There's like a
First 2 seasons, yeah.
triggering thing, like a word or something
A
that
word or like a
yeah,
sequence,
they'll
whatever.
yeah, so like maybe we haven't had that yet. Maybe they haven't been triggered yet. Maybe there's something. There's a secret word or whatever that will trigger a triggering device, or triggering phrase or something that might turn us into whatever. But yeah, I don't blame you, man. I feel the same way. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do. You're right. A lot of it has to do with that people watching movies in their living room, so they're alone. They don't get that. They don't get that like, they don't have the pagpag. You know how like when people go to a wake, they have to go somewhere else with the pagpag, and then they go home.
Right.
So that they don't bring. When we watch movies, usually we'll still hang out with our friends after, have coffee, eat somewhere, hang out at around the mall before going home. Now it's like you're sitting there and you're watching the damn thing, and after you watch it, you're like, shit. You're looking around. Yeah, am I a program?
Right. Yeah. I mean, because you have your phones and shit, right? So it's not like far off. Back then, it's like far off. Like, what's this thing? Now you have your phones. You can do a lot of things with your phones.
Yeah, and they could mess you up, man. There's a lot of things like cloning now. There's a lot of things like I watched Total Recall recently
Right.
on Disney, not on Disney, on Apple TV, and the original Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, not the remake with what's his name, and
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell. Yeah, a lot of the stuff there, it's like back in the day, it was so friggin' like fictional. It's like, man, none of this shit's real. Like it was just like it was so kind of like science fictiony, like living in Mars, and he
know,
was
that
programmed
taxi
to
with
be
the
an
dummy
agent.
driver?
That taxi with a dummy driver.
Right. But now
That-
we have actual self-driving cars.
we have
now.
actual self-driving
Minus
cars.
the dummy, but then they're driving themselves.
It's possible now that they can implant shit in your head and make you think certain things and make you forget certain things. Because I mean, he was supposed to be an agent, but he was made to forget, so he was living another life. And I'm like, when you watch it now, yeah, I mean, the effects are laughable at most, but still, there are a lot of things there that you go, oh, it's actually almost possible now in this day and age. This can actually really be done now. You could actually be looking at somebody and think that's that person, and that person could actually be a simulation. Like when they did that Tupac concert, and he was actually like a hologram or something. And if
Hmm.
you can watch like movies now where they can make like Brad Pitt look young, like they can have like a young version of Brad Pitt on video, and it still looks like Brad Pitt.
True.
They could, right? It's not anymore like, it's you can't tell the difference anymore. It doesn't even look like an effect anymore. It looks like, oh, Brad Pitt looked young. I mean, they did that with Paul Walker, I think, in one of the Fast and the Furious movies, where it was his brother who played Paul Walker because he already died, but they for some reason made him look just like Paul Walker. And there's also this comedian guy who's really good at imitating other comedians, and they can superimpose the face of like Kevin Hart on this guy's face, and
Hmm.
he really looks like he's Kevin Hart. I mean, they have that technology already now in this day and age. So sometimes we might be actually be watching the news, and that might actually be manipulated, or special effects might actually have been added to that, and how we wouldn't be able to tell the difference unless somebody told us that, hey, this is just a special effect, or this is not, you know. That's why you have a lot of these people believing stuff in this day and age right away, and we're always the skeptics. We're always like, nah, don't believe it unless it's in the real news. But anyway, I mean, it's just stuff that was done back then that's actually doable now. So it gets scarier, and I totally get it. I totally get it. People can create scenarios, even in one of the Mission Impossible movies. You remember when they tried to get information from this guy, and what they did was like they literally put him in a hospital room, which was a studio, and they had the news showing. Actually, had Wolf Blitzer in there talking
Hmm.
about the news that the world is like this, and he actually believed it, and he was actually in a studio, so he actually gave information because he thought like the world was ending or something, something to that effect. It was actually just a scenario that they made out, and that was in a Mission Impossible movie. So you think, wow, that was cool when they showed that. And now that could easily be done. You could easily wake up in your house, have somebody be on the news, and everything would just be an elaborate setup. And it's doable. I mean, there are apps on the phone that make you look like someone. That's believable. There are apps. There's an app on my phone that I can literally erase certain stuff in the background of a picture, so I can
Hmm.
manipulate a photo and make it look like like somebody wasn't there with me. It's just an app that I downloaded. So now you're like more praning. I guess we're more praning. I mean, because now we like there's a lot of things that's more possible now. Can you hear anything outside? Is it getting worse or?
Yeah, it's still like yeah. I mean, I don't think it's gonna like it's probably gonna calm down probably on early dawn because that's when it's gonna stop. Like the warning is up to dawn, so it could be. But I don't know if snow is going to be like going to school because sometimes even if if the storm stopped, the warning hasn't because they're gonna wait it out for a few more hours. So there were times that it was already calm in the morning, but the kids don't go to school until they issue like sort of clearance that it's okay. So like all right, at 10 you can the kids can start going back to school at 10. So usually like they're on their way to school at around 7:30, right? Kids are walking already.
Yeah.
But in this case, like there are times that all right, please stay at home and we'll give announcement later if they should go in. They might go in before lunch, or if you don't hear anything before lunch around 11 or whatever, then the class is already canceled for the whole day. So that's kind of like tricky because parents got to work, and even if you have daycare, right? You have daycare, after school daycare. Even if you have that, they don't have it on the typhoon day, so you have got to take a day off. So
Oh
that's the time
man.
when you have to take a day off. So one of us has to be here with her with snow because if I mean there's no daycare on that day. It's just like there's no school, then they're gonna stay home, and one parent has to stay home.
What are the biggest fears that come along with a typhoon? I mean, like, it's besides the roof of your house flying off or something. I mean,
Here's the thing,
is it
man. I'm like,
associated with flooding? Is it associating
I
with?
don't get like people from the Philippines who are living here and they're getting like they get these scares and shit. Like my mother in law, for example, I'm like, you already live in Japan. It's not like we're in the Philippines where if something happens, like
Dude, I think your internet's like starting to get affected now. Whoever else is out there, it's ice that's frozen, not me, right? And they're currently going through a typhoon in Japan right now. So, yeah. You froze, man? You notice that?
all right, okay, there you go. See, I'm experiencing
Was that you?
technical
Was
problem.
that
Yeah,
on your
it
end?
was yeah, it was on my end. It was on my end. So like I said, um we're already in Japan and like for example, me, I have insurance. So if something happens to my house, I'm insured. Right? So it will be covered, in some way, so I wouldn't have to really worry about it. And if like let's say for example, like here it's fast. If the power goes out, I'm pretty sure they will fix it in no time, right? I
Yeah,
mean, we don't live in a country where people are like, I mean, we're in a country where people are, like efficient. Like
yeah,
everybody's efficient.
yeah.
So they have protocols and shit for these things. So I'm like, that's why I don't worry about it too much. But they're worried. And I'm like, what are you worried about? Like we're in Japan. It's not like we're living in a jungle. And
And e-
that's what I always
and even if you were, what can worrying do? I mean,
exactly
you know what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like, is it? But I mean, I think that's an effect that's not controllable. To be honest, like the worrying part, like even when I get on a plane, like I have this anxiety, and I'm like, there's nothing I can do. If anything goes wrong with the plane, it's not like I can worry it away. Like, no, it's not. It's not. If something bad happens, something bad happens. But you can't just shut it off. I mean, it's either it's there or you just don't care. Like you're either manhid or you're too sensitive. So maybe for them that's just how they are. It's not necessarily because they don't think about these other things. It's just like it's in their system. Like it just worries them. And
I remember my mother-in-law just, I mean, putting like lots of water on my tub. And that at that time we didn't do tubs and shit. So he was like, all right, I'm gonna, have some water on the tub, clean the tub, and like he had some water there. And dude, nothing happens. I was just like, fuck. I mean, that it's a waste of water. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck. So I'm like, like I don't hoard. I don't do that shit. Like I've seen the panics like back then when people were buying like liters and liters of like boxes and boxes of like those bottled waters. Like I
yeah,
never did that.
even remember the toilet paper craze during COVID? People were
Right.
fighting over toilet paper, like in
True.
Australia and
True.
other countries. Like what the
Yeah, it
heck,
happened
man?
here. It happened here. So I was just like, oh, right. I don't think Filipinos can relate to it because, like me growing up in the Philippines, I didn't need toilet papers.
Tabo,
I
tabo.
didn't yeah, tabo tabo. I didn't need toilet papers back then. But I was like, but here I do need it because it's not like I've been here for 15 years, so it's not tabo tabo type here. So it's like I do need it. So when
I didn't get
um
that too. Like during the pandemic, like why freak out over toilet paper? What? Because if you have to sneeze on it. I mean, like
no toilet paper is like
was diarrhea
dude.
associated with diarrhea? I mean, were
Okay,
people really?
first of all, here in Japan, we have separate like it's not in the same room. Our toilets are separated from our bathrooms, right?
Yeah, of
So a
course.
shower is a shower. Then our bathroom is a bathroom, right? So we don't
Yeah,
take a bath where there's like the toilet bowl or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
So like the toilet is like that's a toilet, right? So it's not like after you poop, you have to walk to the bathroom to like wash yourself.
yeah.
It's a bit of a walk. I mean, I know it doesn't take a minute, but it's still a walk. It's not
No,
like
no, no.
I sit down and so it's like, and we already have the washer, right?
Yeah,
So
the
you wash your
bidet.
freak, yeah. Like, well, yeah, the bidet's like for like the vagina, and the washer's like for the butt, right? So,
Yeah,
but the thing is, like, okay, so you do that, then like you need to wipe yourself, right? But you have to like to go to the bathroom, and it's just right. I mean, it's toilet paper. I don't know for what reason. Like, I never needed toilet paper in my life
no,
ever
because
before
my
I came
thinking
here.
is during the pandemic, like COVID, like COVID's like you get the flu and all that shit. Is it really? Is it
Okay,
diarrhea? I
okay.
mean, are people
No, no, no,
crapping
no, no,
more than usual? What's going
no, no.
on?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. They were just like there was this one person. I think it started in Japan when this one person who worked in a like toilet paper factory said something on social media about like, oh, they have the same materials as like the masks, right? So we might run out. So
Oh, so you
that's what
could use the
started
toilet
the
paper
panic.
as okay.
No, no, not really use toilet paper as cement, but it's like, well, if we're running out of masks, we might be running out of toilet papers as well. So that's what they were saying, and they and
Okay,
here
all right.
it's imperative that you have toilet papers because women too, like they use it here and stuff like that. And these toilet papers are the flushable ones. We don't have toilet papers that can't be flushed. All our toilet papers can be flushed on the toilet. So that's why you can spot a foreigner when they always have like these like like these they put on the wall like instructions that if you use the toilet paper just put it on the toilet bowl because in the Philippines we don't do that. I don't know if you already have that now, but toilet papers you put it in a trash can, right? Like there's a toilet paper and there's like a big trash can right beside you. Here you have to flush it because our toilet papers here are like I don't know what you call it, how you call it, but it's like it can be flushed. It will it will melt or something. It will just like how would you say it? It will just like disappear. All right, it will just like so you can flush it. It's not gonna clog the freaking pipes.
Yeah.
All right. But in the Philippines, I don't know what you can't flush it for some reason. Like even at the like those fancy restaurants, like they have like those big boxes where you put your toilet papers in. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like ew, it's so yucky. Because here, like after you use the toilet paper, you just like flush it with like the freaking whatever. So that's the type of toilet paper that we have. From what I heard, like the type of toilet papers that we have in the Philippines is different. So yeah, that too. So here it's like we have those everywhere, and all the toilet papers can be flushed. So a lot of Filipinos would come here, and they would like, oh, where do you put the toilet? Like, no, just flush it. Like I've had guests like that. Like they always say, where do I throw the toilet paper? Like, no, you don't. Like, you just flush it. Like
It's
you can't flush
flushable.
those. Yeah, so you can't flush the wet tissues, but we also have those types. But the normal the wet ones that you have that you bring, those can't be flushed, right? So you have to throw it somewhere, and the napkins and whatever, like the like sanitary napkins. But the toilet papers, like roll of toilet papers, those can be flushed. So yeah, I think it's very important here. I didn't really get it because, like I
Yeah, no,
said,
me too. I'm like,
I'm a guy and I didn't need it. I was like, I don't care. I didn't have a toilet paper in my house ever. Like if I poop, I just like wash myself. I have my towel and I'm good to go, right? But here it was like for some reason, like yeah, like it was running out, but not now. Like that guy was penalized, I guess, because they found that guy, and I think he was penalized
'cause I
for
mean,
putting stuff like that.
it's like, I mean, I don't know what that was the effect of it. Like people were maybe because they were sneezing, they needed something to sneeze on, they needed tissues. I don't really know, but
But no,
because I
but it
mean,
wasn't a tissue. It was just a toilet paper.
I know, it
So
was
the
toilet
tissues were
paper. So like, I'm
so
like, what is
the
it?
tissues were fine.
Is COVID
It's a toilet
associated with
paper.
diarrhea? I mean, like,
Not
were
really.
people taking a crap like crazy? Why were they freaking buying
No, they
the rolls
weren't.
and
This is like we might run out. So nobody wants to not have a toilet paper at home. It
because
wasn't
of the
related.
fact that there was the same material being used for the mask?
So he said that guy. So and that
So
passed
really, so that's
on.
how it started.
Yeah, that's how it started. This one guy was saying
And
like we might
because
be running
I
out.
never heard of that guy saying anything like that. I've never read it in anywhere, but maybe these people, like some people fell for it, and then you know how it is with people. Somebody
Yeah.
does something, starts thinking I should do it too. Like holy crap, they're buying a lot of toilet paper.
It was
Maybe we
just
should
like the
buy toilet.
idea of toilet papers are gonna run out. So it was that. So people were like panic buying toilet papers. But now it's like people know better here. So they've been like they've been appeased, like everybody. There's been like, all right, we're never gonna run out of toilet papers. It's not true. We will not run out. So now it's back to normal. So I get my toilet
Yeah.
papers like once, I don't know, like once in 10 days. I get like a new So back then I was like every time I see like there's a toilet paper, I would like get one. Because it was so hard to come by at
Speaking of toilet
that
paper, I
time.
have a roll right here. So anyway, we always have toilet paper in the house. I mean, I've always been like, I take a crap a lot. And yeah, I never used to wash my butt with my hands, and my sister used to do that, and and I never did. I was always a toilet paper guy until like a certain age, and my
Me?
sister's like,
I mean, you
"What?"
were like not me.
My
I
sister's
was
like,
like,
"What?
I
You
never
don't
used
wash your
toilet paper
butt?"
back then.
I'm like, "No, I just use toilet paper until like I don't see any streaks anymore, and then I stop wiping." And she's like, "What? Like you have to clean your butt properly. You have to blah 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 blah." It was my older sister who taught me that. And so now I do it, but I still need toilet paper to like wipe my hands when it's all wet and nasty and stuff before I go wash it in the faucet, the sink, because I mean anyways, so
Right, dude. Can we finish early? Because
go ahead. I know. I get what you're doing. You got to be awake and you got to be alert for that. So go ahead, man. Let's end this.
when are we gonna Thursday? Are we gonna
Thursday,
do
Thursday. Wish
Thursday?
you all the best, dude. I mean, I hope nothing. I mean,
I think
you're
it'll
all
be
good.
fine. Let's just let's have to get some stuff ready because we kind of Snow didn't have the basketball practice was canceled, so we ended up taking a nap
And it's
and that
10:14 there already, right?
yeah, and that
Yeah.
nap became into a little sleep, so it's kind of like we woke up
All
late
right. Go ahead. Don't worry about
and
it,
we
man.
haven't gotten ready
I totally
about
get it. So go
for
ahead.
tomorrow. If in case
Plus
there's
the
class.
plus the typhoon. So, anyways.
Yeah, plus the typhoon, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Take care, dude. Take
well,
care.
yeah, so we'll see you guys on Thursday. Thanks a lot for joining us. This has been the OK Show with Rod and Iceman, and we are out. See you on Thursday. Peace out. Thanks.